Let's use what we just learned about mapping and props to make our to-do list a little more dynamic. What I've done is I've created a to-dos data.js file here, and all it is doing is exporting an array of objects, each object representing a to-do item. Now, normally you wouldn't do it this way. You would get this data from an API of some sort where the data is living in a database, but since we haven't really gotten there, this will do for now. Then over in app.js, I've imported that data as an array called to-dos data. So your task is to essentially turn this array of objects into an array of to-do items. Now remember, right now, to-do items are hard-coded with what they're displaying. So that will also need to change. Go ahead and pause the lesson and give this a try. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my array and turn it into an array of to-do items. Then we'll have to fix to-do items so that it can receive props. Before my return, I'm going to create an array called to-do items, which is the result of doing to-dos data.map, which will pass a function to that receives an item. Essentially, we're just going to create a to-do item, and we're going to pass the information from the individual item object down to to-do item. Currently, to-do item doesn't accept anything, but we'll fix that in a minute. So I'm going to pass a prop called item, and its value is going to be the object. And now that I have an array of to-do item components, let's take these out and replace it with my array of to-do items. Okay, and you'll notice that I forgot to put a key prop in here. Always an important thing to do. And with the to-dos data, what I've done is added an ID property. These IDs we can assume will always be unique. And so over in app.js, I will just add a key and say it's item.id. Should get rid of that warning. Now notice that I still have placeholder text here, but now I have it 5 times. And that's because I have 5 items in my to-dos data, but to-do item still has placeholder text here hard-coded in it. Well, we're passing an item prop down, so let's go over to to-do item, have it accept props. Instead of putting placeholder text here, we will simply say props.item.text. It's .text because that's what the property is called in my object. So I save this, and there we go. We have our to-do item showing up, and essentially we're declaratively turning an array of raw data into elements on our application. Now, it's actually going to be quite a while in this course until we learn about forms and learn a little bit more about how this input type checkbox works. But what I can do is give you a little hint as to how to make it so that the checkbox is checked when the item is considered completed. Over in the data, you may have noticed that I've set a couple of these to completed true. Well, let's make it so the checkbox actually gets checked when that happens. Again, we're going to cover this quite a ways down the road, but just so you know, for now, Every type checkbox gets a property called checked, and essentially it tells the checkbox whether or not it should be checked. If the thing inside is true, then it will be checked, and if not, it won't be checked. This is going to throw a little warning that basically says you've added a checked property, but you can't change it ever, so it doesn't have an onChange handler. But for now, that's okay. We'll cover this again in the future. But you can see in my window over here, take out the trash and mow the lawn are already considered completed. And you'll see when I try to uncheck it, it won't let me. Like I said, we'll fix that in the future, but this is kind of a cool little addition we can make now. Hopefully that wasn't too difficult. If it was, feel free, once again, go back, rewatch everything, catch up on any of the lessons that you may have struggled a little bit through up until now. And once you're ready, let's go forward.